While in Pallet Town, I decided to visit Professor Oak and have my Pokédex analyzed. He said I was doing well, and while there, I decided to give some attention to the Pokémon he'd been taking care of for me, and also train them up to fill up my Pokédex a little more. Mirio had become a lot more social since the last time I saw him, and he evolved into a Dugtrio. Kachan was really excited to spar with Victor again, and he evolved into a Primeape. And finally, I used the leaf stone that I found in the Safari Zone to evolve Mallow into Victory Bell. When it came to training Keigo, I remember the Fighting Dojo back in Saffron City, so I taught him fly and hopped on his back to go on a little adventure. We stopped in Fuchsia City first and then headed out to Route 15 to do some training, cause it had been a while since Keigo had been out and about and I wanted to ease him back into things before taking on the dojo. While there, we ran into a pair of siblings who had a Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan for us to practice battling against. Since it was a double battle, I sent out Victor with Keigo. They had a pretty easy win, and they seemed really happy to be reunited again after all the time they'd spent apart. While on Route 15, we also encountered a new Pokémon, a Venonat. I never seen one before, and she did poison Keigo and break through a Pokeball, but we eventually caught her and I named her Nana. After a bit more training, I felt that Keigo was ready to challenge the unofficial gym, so we flew over to Saffron City and headed in. The first person to approach us in the dojo accused me of trespassing before challenging me to battle. I sent out a Machop and Keigo was just shy of knocking it out with a wing attack, then took a seismic toss before knocking it out with a quick attack. Next was a Mankey. I had Keigo use Fly, which was a one-hit KO, and planned to do the same to the opponent's Primeape, but it actually outsped Keigo and hit him with Rage before Keigo got in the air. Fly was just short of the KO, but Keigo outsped with a quick attack to finish it off. Our second opponent was a lot more welcoming of having someone new to fight against. He also had a Primeape, and this one hit really hard with a cross chop, almost stopping Keigo from getting into the air. Keigo managed to hit it with a Fly, then put all his power into a final quick attack to knock it out. Luckily, that opponent only had one Pokemon, but I didn't get a chance to heal Keigo after the battle because our next opponent came running up to us right away and angrily scolded me for not having taken my shoes off. I led with a Mankey, and despite Keigo's low health, I knew we could outspeed it, and Keigo landed a critical hit Fly to knock it out. A second Mankey came out, and once again we outsped and took it out with a single Fly. Our opponent's final Pokemon was Primeape, meaning I had to take Keigo out of battle, and of course I had to send in Victor. Back when my only two Pokemon were Victor and Keigo, Keigo was always protecting Victor, and now it was finally time for Victor to return the favor. Victor used Strength, and the Primeape barely did anything with a few measly Fury swipes. And then, in true Victor fashion, he finished off our opponent with a critical hit. After healing up Keigo, we went forward to face off against the leader of the dojo, Karate Master Koichi. He led with Hitmonlee, and I had Keigo use Fly right away. Hitmonlee tried to use High Jump Kick, but Keigo was too far up, and Hitmonlee crashed into the ground painfully hard, allowing Keigo to swoop down and knock it out for an easy win. Next was Hitmonchan, and knowing that it potentially knew Ice and Thunder Punch, I decided to switch in Shota. Yes, Shota, my normal type Pokemon, who got hit with such an intense Ice Punch that he actually froze, being unable to move. Hitmonchan threw out a series of elemental punches that did minimal damage to my bulky Icicle, and then went for Sky Uppercut. He hit Shota really hard, but not hard enough to break the ice around him. After that, I decided to hand things over to Victor. He got hit by a weak Thunder Punch and then put Hitmonchan to sleep. Victor managed to get in 2 strengths before Hitmonchan woke up and again went for Sky Uppercut, which barely did anything to Victor. Victor hit it with one more strength attack and Hitmonchan went down, winning us the gym battle, but not gym badge, I guess. In place of a gym badge, Koichi-sensei offered me one of his own Pokemon and allowed me to choose between a young Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. I chose the Hitmonchan and I named him Luffy. He also offered to let me stay and train with them a little longer, which I gladly agreed to, and a few battles later, Keigo evolved into Pidgeot. The first Pokemon I ever caught was all grown up. Before returning to Pallet Town, I noticed that there was a power plant near Rock Tunnel. It didn't seem like a safe place for Keigo, so I sent him back to Professor Oak and brought over Luffy to begin his adventure. As soon as I entered the power plant, I encountered a Magnemite. Luffy's punches didn't really do much against it, and he also got paralyzed by it. And since I decided I was going to dedicate more time to filling up the Pokédex, I caught it and I gave it the name Denki. I did try venturing further into the power plant, but we encountered a Magneton that paralyzed Victor, and then a Voltorb who paralyzed Luffy again, and I ran out of paralyzed heals. So I decided to bail on exploring the power plant. Instead, I decided that we would take Luffy to Rock Tunnel to train him up. And by the end of it, he was a little worse for wear, but he also emerged as a punching master. Luffy was very clearly destined for greatness, and I decided that I would keep him on my team. And so I once again made the very long trip back home to Pallet Town to give all my Pokemon one more hug before continuing on my journey to become the Pokemon champion of Kanto.